Welcome, Robin. Thank you so much for coming. It's really appreciate your input on the panel. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what you do at BitGo.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on the panel. My name is Robin Verderosa, and at BitGo, I'm VP of Product Marketing, and that role basically blends marketing and product and helps us deliver the right products and the right message to the institutional market.
And have you had an interest in or experience in the crypto blockchain world before you got this position?
Well, most of my career was spent in financial services, on the product management end, in market data, traditional market data, as well as building trading platforms. And I came over to BitGo about a year and a half ago, and obviously that's in crypto, but our marketplace is the institutional investor. So it was just a sidestep over to crypto, and with the institutional investors coming into the market, it's been a pretty easy transition, and a very interesting one at that.
Yeah, it was very cool the end of last year when it basically became a official investment, Bitcoin. So what do you think has happened this year? Because it definitely has been a very intense year in the crypto blockchain world.
Well, I think it's only in the last month or so that we're starting to feel that perhaps we're in that bear market, and that we may be going into the crypto winter, which I use with some hesitation because we don't know if we're quite there yet. And I think the market was, in many cases I felt like the market was slowing down, and that was a very good thing, and maybe prices were becoming very stable. And again, as I mentioned, it's only, I think in the last maybe 30, 60 days that we're realizing that maybe the market is really slipping. We went below the 4,000 mark. Even today, I think we're around 3,800. So Bitcoin is certainly seeing darker days. And as far as what we can expect, I think we're going to see some slower times. However, with so many institutional investors coming into the market, Fidelity and Goldman and ICE with the Bakkt exchange, to me, there seems to be so many predictors of a market that's still in its infancy and is certainly going to mature.
Okay, and so with the market slowing down, what would we expect to see happen next year if it's going to be a bear market? What's your predictions or overview?
Well, some may say that it will be a building year. So we'll see more different types of instruments come into the market and more people investing in the market with different types of utility. So we're seeing now in 2018, toward the end, we're seeing less with ICOs and more focus on security tokenization. So that will certainly continue, and I think that's a positive direction for the marketplace. And then I think we're going to see institutional investors take small and careful, calculated steps to get into the market. I think that ICE, for example, they pulled back their release perhaps an additional month, and we'll see exactly when they launch. We see State Street coming out and saying, well, we don't really see our investors are ready for the crypto market. So we see very careful, calculated developments and decision making in the market. But with that said, I think we're going to see slow and steady advances and continued interest in the market, and this will give us time to collect our thoughts and better understand the market and better understand the utility surrounding the market, and perhaps security as well as regulation, allow them to catch up as well.
And so it was pretty overwhelming and scary when all the boom happened, I have to say, having been a follower of Bitcoin since 2008. So it was a bit too frothy, and people were getting involved without any background or experience or knowledge. And I gather that what's happened is all of those people have dropped off the tree or are now holding on to their investments because they're sort of worthless. What's your viewpoint on that?
Well, I was looking at some of the analytics behind Bitcoin, and it really seems like there are still more people setting up wallets. So that's one sign that the market is still healthy. Right. As far as number of transactions, yes, the bigger players, the addresses that we know to be the whales and hold a lot of the Bitcoin, yes, they seem to be dropping off, but yet we see the number of transactions going up. So I think that yes, we were seeing a lot of people get into the market that maybe weren't perhaps familiar with it, and I think that's alerted the SEC to be very careful in protecting the retail investors. But again, I guess I feel like this slowdown is just kind of a moment for everyone to pause and better understand the market and to make sure this is a market they want to be in and to not oversell it.
I think it's coming back down to earth, really, and I'm a bit happier about that. Obviously, there's not as much money flying around, but it definitely feels like we can really continue to build the ecosystem or the domain rather than, it was just too overwhelming, I think, what happened. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and I'm really looking forward to the panel.
Thank you as well. My pleasure.